I've had doctors that really just felt like they were piecing it together as we went. You know what I mean? Like, truly. Like, one time, I don't even know what it was. I had something on my leg that was, like, concerning me, right? And so I went to the doctor, and I'm telling him about it. I'm sitting in his office, going over it, going, like, when it happened, everything, how worried I am, because I've never seen anything like this before, and how I've just been, like, feeling, like, tired all the time, so I'm wondering if it has something to do with this. And he's like, yeah. And I was like, do you want to take a look at it? He's like, yeah, we'll get to it. And then he stands up, grabs, like, all the stuff, stethoscope, stuff that he, I guess he gonna listen to it. I don't know what the plan is. But then he's like, go ahead and stand up, and you can drop your you can drop your pants. And I'm like, why are you seem nervous? Like, it was just, do you know what I mean? Like, it's not like we're buds. Like, I have to do this now. And we've talked about it thoroughly. Like, you know where the thing is, like upper thigh, right? And so then I, like, open my belt buckle, I unzip, I start dropping my pants, and maybe I did too fast for him, because he was like, oh, pause. I was like, pause? Not a doctor. Say pause. Oh. Because it's tough and it's scary, because we only know a medieval amount about how to keep ourselves alive. We think we're smarter because we have more access to information, but even with that access, some people don't want the information. There are people that are straight up, like, I used to think from the bottom of my heart, oh, if people just knew, if you knew better, you'd do better. I used to, like, live by that mantra. And now I'm realizing, no, some people don't want to know. Some people would like to do exactly what they do now. Because to me, I go to a doctor because I'm like, you're a professional. The hope is that you know what's going to be going on, so I don't need to learn about what's going on while it's happening to me, because that's how you die slowly. You know what I mean? I don't want to be sitting on my deathbed like, I figured it out. And so you go to a doctor, because doctors supposed to know. But now there are people who will admit that they don't know, but they'll also be like, nah, he doesn't know either. And it's like, look, I'm not saying doctors know everything, but we, as the general public, we have, like, a certain amount of knowledge that helps keep us alive. And the rest is other people that we've never met being like, don't eat the lettuce this week. There's E. coli everywhere. And without them, I wouldn't know that. I'd be hitting the lettuce hard. I'd be like, look at how healthy I am. I'm mid-salad right now. You do your best. Everyone is doing their best. Don't think that I think people aren't doing their absolute best. Even when they don't do what I agree with, even when they don't do things that I think are like common sense, people are doing their best, you know? It's just sometimes someone's best shouldn't be here. Do you know what I mean? You could have all the good intentions in the world, but if your best is like subpar, should probably get you out of there. Let you be a cheerleader. Because I've been through all manner of, like, medical things. Luckily, nothing so serious that it was, like, fundamentally life-threatening for long. I'm very thankful that I don't deal with, like, chronic pain or conditions that I know people in my life do that make them have to adjust plans, cancel plans, make them have to adjust their life, make them have to be thinking about this thing all the time. I luckily don't have to think about my body all the time, you know? But I know a lot of people that do. I know a lot of people that depend on those experts for things that, if we were going off of my knowledge, most of this room would be dead. Oh, I don't claim to be an expert, but I feel like there's this weird place we've gotten to where it used to be knowing something was like a big deal. Oh, ask them, they know, right? And now questioning something is as big of a deal as knowing something. And I'm not saying questions are bad. I just think that at a certain point, we need to distinguish the people who only ever ask questions from the people who actually know things. Do you know what I mean? You should ask questions. I don't want anyone to blindly follow anyone. I'm just saying that when people say do your own research, some of them haven't researched. Research is boring. If you weren't bored during your research, if you just strung a marathon of documentaries on YouTube together, I bet you that wasn't research though. I'm not even saying everything you learned was wrong. I'm just saying like research usually takes time, takes years of your life, takes dedicated study and attention. Real research, knowing something, you have to give something to know something. It takes nothing to just pick things apart until you confuse everyone. Do you know what I mean? And so I said all that because I've made mistakes in my life. I didn't know the difference between the emergency room and urgent care. I wish that they give one of them a less immediate name. I didn't know they weren't interchangeable, all right? It's the emergency room and then it's urgent care. Well, I urgently need help for my emergency, so what should I do? Where does that leave us now? I'm at a fork in the road and whichever I pick sounds like they'll help me quickly. Turns out emergency rooms are for like life-threatening, immediate care. Urgent care is for when you got like a headache. Urgent care, look, and this is not to disparage anyone that works in any place. It's just that urgent care stories, I know people who work in urgent care, and I know people who work in emergency rooms, and the emergency room stories, I should have known to go to the emergency room if it was more serious, because the emergency stories are so much more horrific in nature than the urgent care stories. Like, the urgent care stories are like, yeah, this dude came in and he was filling out his paperwork, but his nose is bleeding the whole time. Kind of got all over the paper. And then he handed it back to me and I was like, ugh. Emergency room stories are like, there was a dude today that, and also anyone who's ever worked in an emergency room and then told me an emergency room story has a 1,000-yard stare. They're not talking to me. They might be talking to God. They might be asking God, why would you let me see something like that? I got into this business to help people. I really want to help and heal, and you show me the devil. I don't want to see that ever again. Because what they will tell me with that wide stare is like, yeah, this guy came in today and his leg was, and it's like, I don't know what that is. That blinking? Sometimes they will just blink in silence. I'm like, is it in the room right now? This guy came in today and his leg was in his chest. You sure this wasn't a dream? No. Like, I went to urgent care one time and genuinely was sicker than when I walked in. When I left, I walked to the urgent care and I had an appointment, and which is odd because thought you were supposed to just run up in there. But get to urgent care. I have my appointment. And the person at the front, look, God bless them, truly. I know they were just doing their best. But they could not stop sneezing and coughing openly. And so I was like, oh, like I'm backing away from this. I'm like, yeah, so do you want me to just go right over there? Do you want me to just walk around you and go back there? He's like, oh, the doctor's not ready yet. I was like, you can go first, dog. Like, if you, I mean, you already here and you here all day and like, I don't know, you're probably killing everybody. So if you want to go, that's supposed to be the benefit of working here, right? That you already here in case you need to be here. And he was like, oh, don't worry. Don't worry, it's not COVID. And I was like, that wasn't my concern at all. I wasn't wondering if it was COVID. I was wondering why it was happening right now to you. Like, I want you to be well. That would be better for everybody in here because we all came sick. And if we all mix our sick together right now, I'm pretty sure we'll get a new thing. And I don't want that to happen. No, and then my man sent me back so the doctor could cough in my mouth. Everybody had it, whatever it was, everybody had it. But now, when you go to the emergency room, let's say that's closer than urgent care, and you're like, hey, you know what, I'll just go right now. And then you get in there, and even if you have a terrible migraine, when you look around an emergency room, it does make you self-conscious about your sickness. The same way where you like go to the gym for the first time in 8 years and you looking around at all the people who are like already swole. When you get to an emergency room and you're not that sick and then you just see people holding bullet wounds closed, you're like, you can go before me if you want. Like, and so it's all important stuff. It's hard for us to stay healthy because it's already hard for us to live. You have to do everything that it takes to like have a life, keep people alive if you've made people, and be healthy. And then I don't know, maybe it's just the way that we work as a country, but we're so back and forth and 100% all the time. All gas, no brakes, all the time, always behind, fighting, trying to get back in black, fighting that red line, fighting that poverty line to the point where there are people who genuinely believe they don't have time. Oh, you could do this. This is the healthier thing to do. Oh, make some time for this. I don't have time, right? By the time I get home, I'm exhausted. I just want to sleep. Can I at least have sleep? And so it's tough, you know, even when it comes to eating, even when it comes to like what we know to eat to be healthy. It changes. And sometimes it changes because we find out something. And then sometimes it changes because a company is like, actually, there's a lot of money in kale. You remember kale? You remember that thing that we used to put at the bottom of every salad bar? You know, it used to be the floor of the salad bar. You would go to a Pizza Hut and there would be kale wrapped around the pizza. Not on the pizza, under the pizza. Just use kale as like foliage. And then one day somebody was like, hey, we growing all this kale. You ever taste some? You ever bite down to that kale? It's probably good for you. And then takes off, becomes a whole craze. I'm always blown away with food crazes of food that we've been eating. We've all been alive for a while now, but every year there will be some superfood that's a food we were already aware of. Remember when avocados had their day? Remember when avocado was like, have you no, your skin. And there's vitamins that it's so good for you. Your skin. Do you want more skin? Your skin. It's so good for you. See, you have extra skin under your skin. You'll be so healthy. You remember coconut oil. There was a year where coconut oil could do no wrong. They were like, no, put it on your skin. Lather yourself up at night. You'll just be so moisturized. Put it on your skin. Put it in your hair. It'll get all the dirty stuff out of your hair. It'll clear out your pores in the hair and everything. Get the hair follicle all nice and juicy and stuff. Eat it. Cook with it. It's so good. It'll be good it'll fix your skin from the inside. It'll be delicious and it'll fill it. Ooh, it'll be like all of your organs have new skin. And then somebody else came out with a study that was like, oh, actually don't do any of that. Like it's actually gonna fully clog your pores. It's gonna clog the pores of your hair, and if you eat it, it's gonna be like a little too loose in your heart while your heart's trying to pump blood. I don't know what they said, but they turned on it in a day. And you would think that all this stuff is happening because we're finding out all these things. But what's really happening is all of these narratives are competing at the same time. There are people who have a vested interest in you eating as much meat as possible. And then there are people who have a vested interest in you eating no meat at all. And I don't even mean on a political front. I'm not even talking about environmentalists versus like vegans versus people who have money in Big Cow. I'm talking about genuinely there are people who believe, for whatever reasons they've come to, that they've concluded that they believe this thing is good for you, this thing is bad for you, and then they put it out into the world. And because we have the internet, you could look up anything, and anything is as good for you as it is bad for you. And that is scary when you know a medieval amount to keep yourself alive. I'm not claiming to be smarter than anybody, and I try to listen to experts, and I try to do my quote-unquote own research. It's a lot of reading. It's pretty boring. That's why I feel like I'm doing the right thing. But it's still tough to know. I'm not coming down on people for not knowing. I think it's mostly that if someone went to all the trouble to know, maybe that should mean something. I say this because RFK Jr. is the head of Health and Human Services. And if you're not familiar with RFK Jr., he has a very specific sound, very specific way of speaking and thinking, and he's on a real health kick as a whole personality. All right. And it's unfortunate that so much of that is what feels like riddled with internet. I've never seen someone so interested in health and the science of health without just getting into the science of health. Do you know what I mean? It would be like me knowing every stat that there is to know about basketball. But then when someone rolled me a ball or even tossed me a ball, maybe I'm playing my first pickup game of basketball. With all of this knowledge I supposedly have of the game, I know plays, I know players, I know stats, I know strategies, and then someone actually passes me the ball and I go, there are things that RFK Jr. has said and done they don't just worry me. You know what I mean? They don't just like worry me. They actively go against, like, it's one thing if you have one theory. I let everybody be subversive about like one thing to me, because I'm like, all right, you might be right about this thing. Who knows? Let's investigate, right? When you have 90, nah, dog, this is bad. I don't even like repeating some of the things that he said, because it makes it, if I repeat it, I sound like I think it, because it takes me so long to explain what he thought that I sound like I think it too, and I would rather not. You know, during his confirmation hearing, he said a lot of things that didn't quite fall in line with what he had been saying before he was trying to get confirmed, you know. So he said a lot of the right things to go ahead and get confirmed. And look, he was probably going to get confirmed no matter what. You know, there was a majority that was going to push him through, most likely, no matter what he said. And then he gets in, and this is the most troubling thing to me about like RFK Jr. is that there are moments where he'll say something that is like not only like not crazy, it's like the thing that everyone was hoping somebody would say. And then he'll quickly follow it up with a thing that no one has ever said. And you're like, oh, you had us for like a half second. You know, like, because RFK Jr. has talked about like trying to remove all the dyes out of the foods, like out of the candies and out of the like crackers, all the stuff like that, out of the chips. It's like, that's actually a good thing. That would be good. Everyone else already removed it. Like, these companies may be international, but when you go to Europe, it's a different chip. They don't, and that's specifically because Europe was like, we don't do that to our people. So you should, if you want to be here, you can change it, but you have to change it. You can't just be whatever you want to be, right? And so when RFK Jr. says, like, I'm trying to get all these additives out of the food, all these dyes, all these things, it's like, oh, wow, that's great. I like that. And then he's like, and we need a registry for autism. And you're like, oh! What are you doing? It's so deeply frustrating, you know, because it's like that the whole thing the whole thing that is that is frustrating about it is that it is someone who, even in the face of experts, would rather not challenge those experts and prove them wrong to their face, just more talk to people who honestly and earnestly are trying to find out and don't know and lead them. You don't see him engaging in like real debate with a doctor who's made the thing their life, who's done the true research, and who's done it over time. I'm not saying science and doctors can never be wrong. I'm saying those are the people you should be having these spats with, instead of going on podcasts and convincing people who also didn't do the thing. They didn't make that their life's work, and then leading them down a path where we're not really sure how bad it could get. And this is in the midst of Doge and other things cutting jobs for like the National Health Institutes, you know, cutting jobs at the FDA, cutting jobs in all these places where we need these things. In fact, there have been rollbacks on things that help us prevent things in the future, on research for the future of what might be going on somewhere else, is what scientists are thinking about all the time, when this thing might happen, right? And if you roll back on that, you won't see the effect right away. You may not even see it for a long time. But then when we are behind, because we used to be the leader, and we're quickly losing our first place position in being who the world looks to figure out new illnesses, to figure out, even with old ones, we can still figure out vaccines. We can still figure out all of these different aspects of how to keep people healthy and alive. And when you roll them back in ways that seem like they don't matter, or at least you don't want to give attention to, the effects we won't know the widespread effect of it. You know, and I'm worried because RFK Jr. got in under this whole like make America healthy again attitude. Is sort of a mantra, right? And I understand that he's like a 70-year-old guy that bench presses. But I would like to, if I can, be healthier than RFK Jr. because he doesn't seem healthy. I haven't seen his blood work. I'm not saying I don't know, but he doesn't seem healthy because he does a lot of stuff that doesn't seem to lead to health. Long before he was ever confirmed for the head of Health and Human Services, there was a picture of RFK Jr., one of many, but there was a particular picture of RFK Jr. walking out of an airplane bathroom, barefoot. And when I saw it, I rebuked the picture. I was like, that will not be in my life. No, thank you. I'm not a doctor. I'm not even a scientist. But please wear some form of footwear into the airplane bathroom. You had shoes when you got on the plane. What happened? What happened between the seat and the bathroom that you were like, I gotta get these off? Too restrained. This man went swimming in a DC creek that's been known for I'm pretty sure decades, that place is nasty. It's so okay. It's so nasty that the place is nasty. It's so nasty that they have a sign saying, "We nasty. Don't swim here, it's nasty." And sure, it's like this flowing creek and everything, but it's been known for a long time that sewage leaks into that creek. And he hopped in with the same feet that he walked out of that airplane bathroom with. Hopped in feet first, probably didn't even dip his toe in, was like, yeah! Swimming in the creek with his grandchildren, I'm pretty sure. And his dog. You're the head of Health and Human Services. Do us the service of being a healthy human. This is so crazy that we're watching you. It would be like watching the Secretary of Defense play Russian roulette. It's like, so you're not going to be here long then. Why would you do that? Don't do that. We want you to be alive. It's so frustrating. Man has a congressional hearing where they're asking him about his belief. They're asking him about things that he said since he's been confirmed and stuff. And this man basically says, don't take medical advice from me. There's a part of me that almost respects that. There's a part of me that almost respects that. Let me tell you why. Because I have been, an hourly worker several times in my life. I've had lots of odd jobs that pay by the hour. I've had lots of I won't call them corporate, but just established corporation jobs that pay by the hour. And the problem with hourly work, whether you're talking about me or anyone I've ever interacted with, especially from a customer service perspective, the problem with hourly work is I'm not sure if we're meeting at the hour you care about this job. I may have caught you at a bad time at work. There's 4 types of hourly workers. There are the hourly workers who are like, they start off great, especially when we're talking customer service. You start off great. I was here. You start off great. You clock in, you got a good attitude, you're ready to go. Nothing's happened yet. And then, a few hours into dealing with the public, you have been beat down to a place of which you're not sure you can recover. And you're thinking about how this is Monday. So, my life, Then there's an hourly worker that really starts to perk up the last 2 hours of shift. They're almost home. They're almost out of here. They're smiling at you because they almost don't have to see you. We're almost through with each other. I'm so close. Let's bring it home strong. Then there's the hourly worker that genuinely loves their job. Then there's the hourly worker who hates their job so much that from clock in to clock out, they are here to make sure that you hate their job too. Right? And at different points in my life, I've been a couple of these different workers, Sometimes I had a job where I could clock in and then I was good attitude, good everything. And then people just, whether they're impatient or they're rude or they're nasty, they just beat you down and you try to not let the last interaction affect the next interaction. But after a while, you just get to the point where you just got that face, that almost like 1,000-yard stare. And you're trying to do your job, but you just want to be like, and his leg was in his chest. And I've also been that person that's had that job that I'm like, oh, I can't wait to quit this job. I can't wait to get out of here. And you know what? The close thing to quitting this job is clocking out of this job. I love clocking out so much. Sometimes I do it twice. I love clocking out. It's my favorite thing. Sometimes I actually worked a couple different jobs where back in the day you actually had the timesheet that did the and then shot the paper back up, and that was extra fun. I would watch it. I'd watch it in slow motion in my mind. I'd be like, yep, zip, zip, and zip, zip, and look at you marked and ready to go. I'm out of here. I'm leaving forever, just tonight, but forever. And then, admittedly, I did have jobs that I really loved. I really enjoyed clocking in and having a great time with my coworkers, and I enjoyed the job that I was doing. And even if it was like something to do with the public, you have your jerks once in a while, but for the most part, it was phenomenal. And I got great experiences out of it, and I'd clock out, I'd go home, I'd start again the next day. And then I had jobs where I was like, oh, okay. I don't want anybody to hate their life, but they're gonna know I hate mine. And there's something in the spirit of an hourly worker that's in the middle of doing their job that's like, oh, don't do what I do. That is what I heard at that hearing. Guys, don't follow my advice. I don't know. I be saying stuff. No. No, it's tough because it's hard to know that everyone has different levels of access and different levels of knowledge on how to keep ourselves healthy. And when you have things getting rolled back, like EPA regulations, FDA regulations, when you have people looking out less and less for the quality of drinking water, when you have people looking out less and less for what the next potential virus might be, you get yourself into some real trouble. And then they kick it back to us. They kick it back to us every time. They roll that thing back. They fire those people. Those people who, I'm not going to say every single person loved their job, but they roll things back to the point where now more people have more burden on them and less support to try to get us to where we need to be, at least on a basic level of health. And they're like, but it's up to you. You know, Dr. Oz came on and he was like, the best way to be healthy is to be healthy. And I was like, oh, do you have financial advice too? Because that's incredibly solid right there. The best way to not need these services is to not need these services. And it's like, okay, but you gotta remember, you're dealing with people who have varying levels of knowledge around what is and isn't healthy. My hometown has a bit of a meth problem. And a real conversation that I overheard at a bus stop was, no, they getting on to me and on to me and on to me because I'm smoking meth. But it's not like it's crystal meth. And not only me as a bystander, but the person they were talking to seemed to also be on meth. Said, what do you mean it's not crystal meth? And he goes, it's regular meth. And so then the other person on meth was like, no, it's all meth. Crystal's not the deluxe. It's not like Crystal Pepsi, you know what I mean? It's all generally meth. There's not a diet meth. Meth is the diet meth. I haven't eaten in some time. Because we are a huge country. And it's when you travel, you realize how big this country really is. And it's a lot of people to try to keep healthy, try to make healthy, you know. And so you want people of the absolute highest caliber, knowledge and character to be in positions that affect your health. And I just don't think RFK Jr. is that, you know? And there's all these things. There's plenty of things that you can watch and plenty of breakdowns people have done on his ideas and his theories about health and everything, and the things that he says that fall into the lane of conspiracy and the things that he says that fall into the lane of like homeopathic cures and stuff. And I'm just saying there's a certain way that you talk about people that lets me know what you think about people, how you feel about people, right? And while maybe from his perspective seeming compassionate or seeming understanding, the way I've heard him talk about people, especially people with autism, but people with any sort of different ability or way of life, and talk about it in terms that just seem so like stark and dismissive of the individual themselves in these broad brushstrokes, and then try to later come back and be like, oh, I was only talking about a quarter of, you know, as if that's better. You know, it makes me feel like this is not the individual that should be in that position. And that's not just because he swims in sewage. It's because like actual sewage is spilling out of his mouth every time he talks. But yeah, maybe he can get the food additives out. I don't know. Like that's just, I don't know. That's what's so frustrating to me about RFK Jr. It's like half of what people applaud him for even saying we should do or that he's trying to do is just a bunch of stuff Michelle Obama was trying to do. Like, remember when Michelle Obama was like, how about a carrot? You remember that? Remember when Michelle Obama was like, just try an apple. And people were like, why do you hate America? No, it's super frustrating. You know, I get frustrated all the time. I can't imagine if you are, a parent of a child with autism and you're listening to RFK Jr. talk, or if you're someone who's an actual health specialist and you're listening to RFK Jr. talk, or if you are the person who, in my opinion, deserves to be the angriest, Michelle Obama, listening to RFK Jr. talk. You know, she probably is pointing at the TV doing the DiCaprio meme. Like, that's what I just want you to try an apple. You know, that's my thing. That's really where we screwed up. You know, we do all this stuff when it comes to healthcare to make it inaccessible, right? So there's all these things that you have these premiums, you have these deductibles, you have all these different things that we understand are to keep us away from the healthcare. But then when it comes to the vaccines, when it comes to, you know, the treatments, I think we're too eager to give it to people. We should actually hold it back and make it seem like, I don't know. I don't know, it's all the way over here. Do you really want to come over here and get it? Like, I don't know. You know, because I had a conversation with a friend that enlightened me a little bit in kind of that route of thinking. He was a new parent, and he was like, look, I'm not a doctor. I recognize that I don't know the science or anything, but I'm seeing all this stuff on social and on TV about like giving my kids vaccines, but I'm also talking to my doctor who's telling me to give my kids vaccines, and he's like, I don't know what to do, and I'm really scared about what I should do, right? And I was like, okay, like I hear what you're saying. And then he said, I just feel horrible if I gave my kid something and it made them sick or sicker. And I was like, okay, I understand what you're saying. And then I asked him, I was like, let's just go back in time for a second and just pretend that the vaccine that the doctor's trying to give you just doesn't even exist. And your kid was sick. Would you want it then? Do you know what I mean? And I'm not saying that as some sort of got you. I'm saying that when we're sick, we go to the hospital. When you're sick or someone you love is sick, you want a doctor immediately. All this like just asking questions, going back and forth, trying to dunk on doctors, trying to dunk on experts. It's always done from a place of like actually being okay right now. When you're actually in a hospital bed, you're like, do whatever. I'm coughing up blood. Do you know what I mean? And I'm not saying that to say that I don't have empathy for people who have questions or people who are unsure, people who are scared. That's where I think a lot of like humanity gets lost in the conversation. When some people are just like, I don't know what to do. I'm genuinely afraid of what I should do next because there's all this stuff out here. Just like with the food, just like with the treatments. For everything, there's a thing for it and against it. And it depends on when it comes up in your feed. It depends on how you search. It depends on how you type it into ChatGPT. And so it's hard to know, to really know, right? And so I try to not just have patience, but have empathy for people who are genuinely unsure. But you saw it. You saw it in COVID. People were yelling to the rooftops, I'm not wearing a mask, I'm not doing that. Look, live your life. But then at the third cough, they did go to the people who told them to do all that stuff. And I'm just saying, like, I don't know, if you trust them now, if you trust them when it's bad, why not trust them a little early? You know what I mean? And I just want to make it clear, like, my big gripe with RFK Jr. is that he doesn't have these debates and he doesn't have these knockdown, drag-out fights and arguments about the science and about where he's coming from and how he has his logic and how he came to these conclusions with experts who are well-versed in the science and in the medicine. It's always done in like a podcasty type of way. And now that people's real lives are at stake, I just think that's unacceptable. Like, I don't know how we're so willing to give this much. Like, I know we're not, but just, I don't know, when you look back and you compare it as a country, Michelle Obama was like, just eat the apple. Like, it'll help.
Please make it loud for Josh Johnson!
When I was a kid, our class had a bully, and I'm just gonna call him John, right? And John, he bullied everybody in like a very run-of-the-mill way. Like, this was very standard bullying, like slap the books out your hand. What's that? Your nose, blow, right? And I think one of the reasons we let him get away with it wasn't just because he was a little bit bigger than all of us, but his voice changed first. And it changed so young, we didn't know what to do with that. Like, we didn't know that was coming for the rest of us. So then John would just walk up like, give me your homework. And I'd be like, that sounds like the devil. So, because I'm not equipped with holy water today, you gonna get this math homework. And there was another kid in our class, Reeve. And Reeve, I'm not gonna say he didn't have any friends, but Reeve had friends for like 20 minutes at a time, because Reeve was one of the singular most annoying people I'd ever met in my entire life. It was almost to the level of a skill or a talent. It was absolutely insane. As an example, right? Reeve loved anime. And that's fine. I love anime too. But Reeve loved anime in a way that I didn't love anime, because I at least know anime not real. Reeve loved anime to the point where he was letting it affect how he runs. Some of you know exactly what I'm talking about. Like, he could never do anything regular. He had to do it anime every time. He could never just turn around. He had to be like, you ask Reeve a question, he doesn't know the answer. He can't just think about it. He has to go, It's like, as a fellow anime lover, I'm like, dog, chill. You making us look bad. Stop. Please. Oh, it was insane. And one day, we were at lunch, and Reeve was trying to make his carton of milk explode, right? You know, with his powers. And so he holding his hand over the carton of milk, not touching it, holding it over. Nothing happening because it's not real. He finally gets so tired of waiting for the powers to activate that he grabbed the milk, squeeze it, drop it, and go, I did it. I did it. Y'all just didn't see it when I did it. But yeah, I did it. Ooh, I got it. Now, when he picked it up and he crushed it, milk went everywhere. And a lot of milk just spurted out and landed all over John. And John stood up, turned around, walked up to Reeve, towering over him, and was like, "You got milk on me. We gonna fight later." And never before in my young life had I been so excited for violence. Because as word spread, people were taking sides. They were like, "No, John gonna kill Reeve." And we're like, no, Reeve weird. I bet you he gonna scratch him to death. Like, he has that X factor. We might be able to get rid of both of them at the same time. And so after school, we gathered around in a little circle in front of the two of them. They're about to fight, right? And John is like lumbering back and forth. And we knew John was strong, but he also, he moved slow. And he was moving slow pre-fight. He was just stalking back and forth like Mike Tyson in the early 90s, just like ready to do something terrible, right? And then on the other side of this imagined ring, Reeve is using his pre-fight time to power up. I've watched a lot of anime, and I've never seen what this child did next. Because to power up, the first thing he did was let his knees buckle. What is this? What power are you drawing from the earth right here like this? This doesn't make any sense at all. He over here, knees buckle, arms out. This is not how you power up in any anime. This is how you fall down the stairs if you a slinky. All right? And this boy here, like this, doing the power up yell. Oh! And then the fight starts, and the fight starts with Reeve attacking John, right? Coming right at him, but he coming at him in the power-up stance. So he over, oh! And admittedly, John didn't know what to do. He really was like, oh. And so they start fighting, and kind of what we thought was going to happen happens. John is big, he's strong, but he telegraphs all his punches, and he's slow. Boom, but he's missing, right? And Reeves attacks. Reeves' attacks have a lot of energy to them. That's not really going anywhere. Like, instead of punching, he over here, yeah! And so he's fast enough getting out of John's way, but not doing any damage. And so John over here punching air, and Reeve over here throwing air. So it's not really a fight. But I really was gathered around all those people, shoulder to shoulder, watching two of them go at it like fight. First time in my life. Fight. So when I think about Elon and Trump, right? It's like It's like one of the most insane bouts I've ever watched take place in my life. In case you haven't heard, Elon and Trump are fighting. And it's like Christmas came early and twice. Like, the only person calling for peace is Kanye West. That's crazy. It's crazy. And we knew that this thing was bound to happen, you know? Because you have to think of who Elon is as a person and who Trump is as a person, right? And it's wild because one, richest man in the world, one, most powerful man in the world and everything, but they had a shaky alliance from the start because I don't think we gave Trump in the moment enough credit for how nice he was being to Elon. He was very nice to Elon. You know? Because Elon, weird. Like, Elon weird, and Trump didn't say anything about it the entire time, acting like he didn't see it. Like, that's not who he is as a person. Trump is a natural bully. Like, that's what he does, you know? And he was very nice to Elon by omission. I'm not just talking about what he said, because Trump is always using superlatives if he likes you. If he likes you, you're the best, smartest, most amazing that's ever done it, right? That's how he speaks. But he was nice to Elon by what he didn't say. Because you got to remember, Donald Trump is the same man who roasted the supreme leader of North Korea to his face. I don't know if y'all remember, it was like 2018 or something, and Kim Jong-un and him met up to have dinner and like talks and stuff like that, and there was a photographer there taking pictures of both of them before they sat down for the dinner, and Trump turned to the photographer and was like, "You making us all look nice and handsome and thin?" A lot of people think Kim Jong-un doesn't speak or understand English. He understands English. He consumes a lot of American media. And Kim Jong-un was even standing there like, did he? He know I kill people, right? Like, that same guy was very nice to Elon. And he was nice to Elon by omission because Elon jumped in front of Trump. You saw the jump. The world saw the jumps. Trump invited Elon on stage, and Elon walked on stage like, showed bottom belly in front of Donald Trump. This grown man showed full belly button, broad daylight in front of Donald Trump, and Trump said nothing. Acting like he didn't see it. Just let that dude start talking right after. That was wild. You know, Elon jumped because he was excited. And he was excited because what was about to happen had never happened before. Never before, right? Obviously, Elon, richest man in the world, and as long as there's been money infused in politics, the wealthy have had a ton of influence. That's nothing new. What was about to happen was unprecedented. This rich man was about to actually get to go in the government himself. No back channels, no liaisons. He was going to go in the government himself. He was going to end every investigation into him and his companies. He was going to fire everyone investigating. He was very excited. And I guess he was more excited than any president we've ever had because all of our presidents have kept their feet on the ground the entire time. There's no old footage of Kennedy like, it doesn't exist. There's no portrait of Thomas Jefferson like, no, get the one where he was getting air. That was... This man jumped in front of Donald Trump. Trump said nothing. Elon laughed in front of Trump. as someone who has traveled the world and continues to travel the world, making people laugh, I've heard all types of laughs. And believe me when I tell you, Elon laughed like he throwing up. Watch any interview Elon does where he makes a joke, because only he will get it, and then he starts laughing, and he's just sitting there like, you know, it's because comedy is you know, it's funny with jokes. This man laughed in front of Donald Trump. Trump said nothing. Elon danced in front of Donald Trump. Elon danced like he got to look at each body part first to give it permission to move. Like, it is truest that he'll be there. In front of Donald Trump. And Trump didn't say a word. That's like sitting Eminem down in front of a yacht going 40 knots, holding 30 knots, who are each holding bulbs that are 20 watts, and he can't rap about it at all. That's his whole thing. It's wild that he's not saying anything. He is being very nice to Elon. And I knew it wasn't gonna hold. Everybody knew it was gonna fall apart. We didn't know when, but we knew it was a short-lived alliance. And it was short-lived, in my opinion, for two reasons. All right? The first one is that you cannot ever watch someone treat everyone terribly and think that that doesn't mean they'll do the same thing to you under the right conditions. You know what I mean? And I should be clear here. I'm not talking about someone who has a bad day, someone who's in a bad way at the moment. We're all human. People have bad days. I'm talking about someone who, by and large, treats people terribly, but is nice to you. It's only for right now. As soon as you're in the position the other people are in, they'll treat you the same way. And if you don't think so, you're a fool. And both of them, without exception, think that they are the exception. Oh no, I've seen him scream at everybody and, you know, treat them like trash. It won't happen to me though. All right? One has the most money in the world. One has the most power in the world. But neither one of them have respect for anybody. And the three things that men like them seek, and I think that they seek them because maybe they're the only things that they care about, or maybe they truly believe that if they get these three or enough of them, everything else will fall into place. But men like these men are obsessed with money, power, and respect. You can't have all the money in the world, you can have all the power in the world, but a lot of people conflate fear with respect. And they're not the same thing. You know, you can be afraid of what someone could do to you with all of their money. It doesn't mean you respect them. You can be afraid of what someone can do to you with all of their power. It doesn't mean that you respect them. And you know it because as soon as the money is gone, the respect is gone. As soon as the power is gone, the respect is gone. And there are plenty of people. There are plenty of people I've known growing up in my life, men that I looked up to who did not have any money. And they didn't have any more power than enough to control themselves, but I respected them because of how they treated people, how they carried themselves. And respect is the one thing, one of many, that can't be bought and it can't be forced. And neither one of them really get that. And they don't respect anyone. So eventually this was going to come to a head. And I knew it was starting because Elon truly believes, he's even said so, that he bought Trump that election. You know, he spent $250 to $280 million in the election. He believes, look, you lost the last one, you won this one. I'm the difference. I'm the deciding factor. I got you that election. And you're not going to convince a man like Donald Trump that you got him anything. He's like, that's my base. Those are my voters. They like me. They don't like you. You didn't get me anything. I'll gladly take your money, but you didn't get me the election. I got it myself. That was always going to be a sticking point. And so then Elon took that belief and he took it to a local race in Wisconsin, right? And he was even doing like little $1 million raffles if you vote for the person who wants you to vote for. It was very confusing how it worked. Like I didn't get it at all. And he even went to Wisconsin, was stumping for this person, was there in Wisconsin. And then the candidate that he backed lost by double digits. And it's because people see how much money he has. He's the richest man in the world, but they don't like or respect him. He hurt that candidate by being there and by doing those raffles. It would be like if someone came to you, and let's say in this scenario, you know, you're working and you're doing all right, you're getting by, and maybe sometimes it's paycheck to paycheck, things get rough, right? But someone comes up to you and they're like, hey, you just won the lottery. And you're like, what? I didn't even enter. Don't worry, we got you. What? How much did I win? $1 billion. Going from paycheck to paycheck to $1 billion. That's crazy. And you're like, there's got to be a catch. I didn't enter any lottery. What do I have to do? And they're like, that's simple. You just have to hang out with Elon for the rest of your life. And at least based on what those people did in Wisconsin, they were like, you know what, actually, my job at McDonald's is perfect. I really like being customer facing. I like the rapport I have with my coworkers. Just keep that money and him away from me, please. Because he could not buy the race, because as much money, don't get me wrong, $1 million, ton of money. That's a ton of money. And people have done way worse for less, but at a certain point, people reach their breaking point. And they're like, no, I have enough respect for myself, I have enough respect for my community, for my state, to not just vote this way, just for some money from a guy who I know is a bad actor, you know? And once that happened, I knew it was probably up for Elon. Because he lost that race. He hurt that candidate by going there. And if there's one thing Donald Trump hates, is a loser. And you could see some of the shine wearing off of Elon. Because initially, when the administration started, they protected Elon heavy. Anybody said anything about him, anybody did anything, they were on it like that immediately. But then Elon started getting on people's nerves. You know, initially, when they won, somebody would ask a question, they'd shut it down to the media. Elon is a patriot. He's helping clear this government of waste, fraud, and abuse. You leave Elon alone. And then people started to rebel against Elon specifically through Tesla. Tesla's stock started plummeting. People stopped buying Teslas. And then people started vandalizing Teslas. They started blowing up Teslas. And then Pam Bondi came on the news and was like, if you vandalize a Tesla, we will find you. We will prosecute you. They were helping Elon a lot. Trump even turned the front of the White House into like a dealership for a day. And he had Elon there, right? They were doing their best to help Elon. But then, as you saw the months go by, they started mentioning him less. You started seeing them together less. You could tell this thing was waning. And then, how I know that they had stopped protecting him, his 130 days was up as the Doge, like, daddy or whatever. Like, I don't know what this job is. Like, depending on who you ask on what day, he's like an advisor, but he's the leader, but he's not involved. It's like, it's all very weird, but he can only do it for 130 days because as America, we only have like 3 laws left, and one of them is that you can't be in a made-up position for more than 130 days. And so it was like time. And so it was time for him to go, right? And it being time for him to go, he asked Trump if he could stay. And Trump was like, dang, man. No, we only have so many like bathrooms in here. Like, it wouldn't work, you know? I imagine Trump had the reaction that you would have if the worst person you know asked if they could live with you for a little while. Just like, oh, dang, my place just flooded just now. That's right when you asked me to. That's crazy. I know we're not there, but I can feel with my bed underwater. Like, it's just a thing I have. So you should probably find somewhere for both of us to stay, because I need somewhere to stay too. Find a place for both of us to stay and you just stay there. That would be great. And so Elon, shows up for his last day at work, and the president is in the Oval Office with him, honoring him, giving him a key to nowhere. And one of the ways I knew they had stopped protecting Elon is because there were like 2 publications that came out. One the day before he left Doge, one the day of. And both those publications, from like high caliber written journalism, basically said, headline contents were basically, did y'all know he was a crackhead? Like, he'd been a crackhead. That's crazy. Elon a full crackhead. I had no idea. They were listing the drugs he was doing. They're like, he does cocaine, he does mushrooms, some hallucinogens and everything, ketamine. Horses can't keep up with Elon. Like, he really out here a full crackhead. That's wild. And then, to prove the doubters, the detractors, what Elon would call the full-blown liars wrong, he showed up to the Oval Office for his last day of work, higher than his rockets go. This man was in the Oval Office standing next to the President of the United States, tweaking. This man was over here hitting he looked like he arguing 5 minutes into the future. It was wild to watch. This man over... could not stop moving. At one point, you have to watch the video, but the only way I could describe it is he felt like a slow Michael Jackson, right? He was just over here like... It was insane. This man next to the president cracking out, and Trump said nothing. And then he left, He left, and I'll admit to you right now, I thought it was like a PR stunt. I really did. I thought that he was leaving, and then he'd just keep running Doge in the background, and this would take some of the heat off of him. Now you wouldn't think of him so directly. People wouldn't attack his businesses so hard, because in the time that he entered politics to president, he's lost somewhere around like $100 billion or something like that. And it's all like a valuation thing. It goes up and down, but you could see that at least the boards of the businesses that he was on are genuinely worried, even if he doesn't care. So I thought he was going to leave politics for a little while, keep working in the shadows. Maybe the stock would go up a little bit, but nothing would really change. And it turns out that was not the case. He had really been getting on people's nerves. Like hard. And you saw it with Trump. They used to always, be talking about Elon, mention him, to not mentioning him at all. And then the people that Elon had to deal with, it wasn't really Trump as much as the actual cabinet, and they couldn't stand that dude. They hated that dude so much. And so he's really out. And you hear reports, now this stuff is all hearsay, I don't know if any of it is true, but apparently he was having shouting matches with Marco Rubio all the time. All of these cabinet people that Trump got in, Elon has had a spat with most of them, right? Scott Bessent, apparently him and Elon almost got in an actual fight. Scott Bessent doesn't look like he can fight. If you... If you don't know what Scott Bessent look or sound like, just imagine if like printer paper came to life. Like and Elon was truly out. He was out, and one thing really stuck out to me. It was the fact that Elon and Trump share a sort of lived experience where they're not used to hearing no and it's sticking. You know, no is usually an inconvenience to a yes for them. They usually get their way. And so for Elon to be told no, and then he was actually sidelined, and then things that he wanted to happen weren't happening. You know, he wanted some dude that he recommended to be the head of NASA. Trump said no. And then there were things that Elon didn't like because he felt like apparently they were undercutting all his work, like Trump's big, beautiful bill it's named the Big Beautiful Bill because imagination. And Elon has hated that thing, I guess, for a while. You know, just the idea of it. It's almost universally despised. Democrats obviously hate it, and Republicans also hate it, but for different reasons. They don't care that it's like gutting, you know, programs and whole agencies and that we're all gonna die. They don't like it because it raises the deficit anywhere from $3 to $5 trillion, right? And so it takes about 4 or 5 days. And then Elon tweets. He's like, I can't stand it anymore. I cannot stand it anymore. This bill is a disgusting abomination. And everybody in the House that voted for it, you know you did wrong. Right? And Trump said nothing. I was like, did he find God or something? Like what is happening? This is not the dude we know. He attacks those who attack him. And he's finally asked about it. He's asked about it in a press conference, and they tell him exactly what Elon said. He's like, you know, I'm really disappointed with Elon. He knew the bill. He knew it better than some of the people that voted on it. You know, he knew this bill, and he knew it was going to be cutting, you know, his electric vehicle credits like that. Maybe that's what he's upset about. I have no idea. But in case you don't remember, I was very nice to him. That dude showed up with a black eye. I didn't say anything. Because he did. Elon showed up for his last day of work, high and with a black eye that Trump just fully let go. He didn't point at it, didn't motion to it, nothing. Was very chill about the black eye. And then, you know, in the Oval Office, these are some of, not all, but some of the top journalists in America. Obviously, they have questions for Elon of what his plans are. Now that he's leaving Doge, he's going to spend all his time on his companies. They have plans to ask Trump questions about what he's going to do with Doge now that Elon is gone. What's the future of it, right? But these top journalists, the first question that I at least saw them ask was, what's wrong with your eye? Like that's... Nobody gonna say nothing? Like his eye. And then Elon was like, "Oh, it's actually like a funny story. I asked my 5-year-old, you know, my 5-year-old little ex. I told him to punch me. We were Ralph Hussein. I told him to punch me, and he punched me. I got a black eye. It was actually, you know, he's strong for a 5-year-old. It's kind of funny." Elon said he had a black eye because his 5-year-old punched him. That's a crackhead story if I ever heard one. That is a full crackhead lie. You must have the most synthetic skin known to man if this 5-year-old is out here dodging and giving black eyes. Oh. And so Trump was like, look, maybe we'll go on to have a great relationship. Maybe we won't, because that's the thing. People come in here with us, they like being here, and then when it's time to go, they either embrace it or they lose their minds. You can tell who broke up with who by how people move after a breakup. You know what I mean? Like, because while Trump is talking, Elon is tweeting. He's tweeting, and it's a lot. This dude goes all the way back to Trump's old tweets from like 2013, 2015, where he's like, I can't believe what they're doing with the spending bill. This is such irresponsible spending. If you have this much of a deficit, you won't have a country. And he's going back and showing all these old tweets, and he's quote tweeting them like wise words. Once again, you can tell who broke up with who, because for you to scroll back to 2013, you hurt. You are mad. You know how much his thumbs must be exhausted. 2013 tweets. Trump was tweeting 272 times a day, and he made it all the way back to 2013, which means he read them all. He hurt. So he hitting up with the 2013 "this you" text, like, that's crazy. That was insane. And he keeps tweeting. He's getting madder and madder. I don't even know what's happening in the background, but he is tweeting himself down a tunnel, because every time he tweets, Tesla stock drops by like $13 billion. It's just going down and down and down and down. And he's tweeting up a storm, right? He even tweets out, he's like, you wouldn't have won without me. Okay, if it hadn't been for me, Republicans wouldn't have won the House. The Dems would be in the House. The Dems would have the White House, and you'd have a slim majority in the Senate. You ungrateful. Keeps tweeting, getting more and more upset. I don't know what's happening in the background, but this man is getting more and more pissed off. He even tweets, every single one of you Republican senators who votes for this bill will be voted out next term. All right? I will put money behind it, okay? He over here, honestly, Elon over here talking like he wanted the people or something. Like, I was like, what is happening right now? What do you mean, we, dog? Like, make me uncomfortable. But he says it, and then he said, oh, he's getting madder and madder and madder. And then he tweets out threatening Republicans specifically. He's like, look, here's the deal. Trump's gonna be the president for 3.5 more years. I'm gonna be around for 40. That must have sent chills down your spine if you were a Republican senator, any Congress. Trump is going to be president for 3.5 more years. I'll be around for 40. You could hear the threat in it when you read it. Trump is going to be president 3.5 more years. I will be around for 40. And I was sitting in my room like, not on crack. Like, not on crack. Like, that's not, you must not know what crack is. Like, that's not nutritious at all. The crack is not good for you. You should not have crack. Be around for 40. All right. Oh, it's insane. And then Trump finally tweets. He's had enough, and you can tell he's had enough because we know the type of man Trump is. We know the type of figure he is, the type of president he is. He's had enough of this, and he's been holding back. He's been very nice to Elon. I'm sure in his head he was like, I've been very, very nice to this dude. Elon acts and moves like he snuck into a body. And Trump didn't say anything. Trump is over here like, I didn't mention the jumping, the laughing, anything. This man blew crack smoke on my shoulder, and I was very nice to him. And so then Trump tweets out, he's like, hey, yo, one of the easiest ways for us to save billions and billions and billions of dollars is just get rid of all of Musk's government contracts. That would do it quick. And then Democrats were like, do you mean it? Or like, are you just mad or do you mean it? All right, I was just asking. Okay. And then Elon tweets this clip that is him and Trump in front of a Tesla in front of the White House, and the quote for the tweet just says, "Remember when?" I was like, oh, he hurt. Oh, he must be sick right now. I've been broken up with most of my life, but I've never hit somebody with a remember when. So crazy. Remember when. And then Musk tweets again. He's like, hey, since Trump wants to threaten my government contracts, how about SpaceX just goes ahead and disassembles Dragon whatever ship right now? And that would be all well and good, except there are 4 astronauts in the International Space Station right now that are probably floating like, what did we do? Like, that's... I'm not in this at all. Oh, because they're mad. Furious going at each other, you know? And then... I don't know what pulls the trigger, you know. Trump tweeted one more time, and it still felt very reserved. It felt very nice. He was like, look, I don't care if Elon turns against me. I want the big, beautiful bill passed. He can just deal with it. Let's get this legislation done, right? And then Elon tweets out, all right, time to drop the big bomb. Trump is in the Epstein files. That's why they haven't come out yet. Have a nice day, DJT. You can tell who broke up with who, because the person that gets broken up with is the one that tries to ruin your life and tells you have a nice day in like the same breath. Oh, that's crazy. That's gonna be a hard one to dig yourself out of, because Epstein is like the burying ground. It is the conspiracy 101. Right? So many people had podcasts, had hours of content going over Epstein, talking about who might be involved, who's in the Epstein files, who's in the Epstein log, his little black book, all that stuff, going over and over and over it, getting people really feverish over it. And then some of those same people, because of who they are and because who they're connected to, they get in office. They get into government office through Trump, right? That was a mistake, because even the hardcore conspiracy theorists knew. When Elon tweeted that out, Trump is in the Epstein files. That's why they haven't come out yet. Almost right underneath is Alex Jones saying, God help us all. Elon done got Alex Jones pressed. Because where do you go from here truly, you know? Where do you go? Because those same people who were talking about, if they just let me in a room full of files, I'd find the Epstein files in 5 minutes. Just let me in the room. And now you're in the FBI. And so when people ask you, what's up? And you're like, actually, it's nothing. Like, don't worry about it. Nothing happened. Just go back to what you were doing. It's not. That does not sound real. I'm not saying anything else is even going on. I'm saying what you have stoked makes it impossible to stomp out. There will never be enough information coming out. There will never be enough stuff uncovered. There'll never be enough files released. You know, they tried. Initially, they tried. They were like, hey, we're releasing the Epstein file. They even made it like, you know, like a Fox News event. Epstein files coming out 9 p.m. tonight, right? And when they released it to a lot of these like blue check conspiracy theorists, Twitter influence. I don't even know what it's called, but they released it to them, and those people were on fire. Those people were pissed. Because when they actually opened it and they read it, because they meant it. These are true believers, by the way. These aren't people that are like part of the grift. They're reading it and they realize that everything in these things has already been released already. There's no new information in these things. In fact, they did such a bad job of trying to make it look real that they redacted stuff that was already public. And that was, for that conspiracy theory group, very weird. That was very, very weird. You know? And so that was already strike one. And now Elon's saying this, that's strike two. Because it's not like that's new information. We knew that Trump was involved with Epstein. There's literally video of them partying together and stuff like that, like on MSNBC from 1992. Like, that's not news or anything. But when you're a conspiracy theorist and nothing is enough, nothing is enough. You know? And so then in the background, people are trying to chill this thing out. There are White House aides, there's Elon's assistants trying to get these two to mediate, not make it any worse than it is right now. You know? And as of the time I'm talking, there's a lot of stuff that Elon's taken down, like tweets that he took down. And even Trump is trying to be very nice to Elon. They asked him his first interview since all this happened. And he's like, look, I don't know. I'm just trying to run the country. I wish him well and everything. I don't know anything about his drug habit and him being a full-on crackhead. That's not any of my business, right? So publicly, he's putting on a very good face. He's trying to be very professional, very presidential. And apparently, rumor has it, privately, he is calling everybody he knows, like, you know you're a crackhead, right? Like, no, he blew the smoke right on my back. I had to get my suit cleaned. And look, I'm not saying that this is the end of either of them. I don't know if they'll reconcile. I don't think that's even possible. I just know it's the first time that I'm standing shoulder to shoulder with a bunch of people, watching two people go at it like fight. Yo, Detroit, y'all been amazing. Thank you so much.
When I can